I was watching True Grit, and the girl in that got bit by a snake, and John Wayne guy, what's his name? Jeff, who played the guy in the new True Grit?
I don't know. I didn't see the old one.
Jeff
Bridges
Bridges cut the girl and then sucked the blood out.
Yeah, that's a myth. So
Okay.
do you actually know what you're supposed to do in a situation like if you get bit by a venomous snake?
No.
There's like a whole thing.
I've seen like little like skin plungers.
Yeah, that's almost never the right move.
Coyote does it on YouTube.
Stop learning how to save your life from YouTube, okay? But watch our YouTube video to learn how to save your life right now. So what to do if you get bit by a venomous snake? I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. Number one, the first thing you need to do is try and identify the snake, even if that's just taking a mental image. So if you snap a picture, if you take a mental image, whatever.
While you're freaking out.
Yeah, while you're freaking out, while you're losing
While your
mind.
arm's turning black.
Yeah. So you want to be able to try and identify the snake, but there are some things that you can do that I'm going to mention that you can help the doctors identify it later on if you should not get the mental view that you need. So
it's another case of the movies not being accurate.
yes. Do not suck the venom out. Do not cut the wound at all. And if anything, that'll just add adrenaline to the system. So first thing you need to do is sit down, keep calm, and keep the wound below heart level. So a lot of times it's going to happen on your leg. It's going to happen on your hand when you're reaching over to grab something. It's very unlikely that you're bit in like the neck or something, unless it's a movie. So
if you get
Correct.
bit on your hand, since you
Remain
probably
calm.
yeah, you'll want to do a handstand with your hands on the ground.
Gravity.
Perfect. So yeah, you'll want to sit down and keep calm. Now here's what a lot of people don't know is that the stress of being cut open or having the blood sucked out or whatever other kinky things you're into, if those things happen, you could be you're spiking your heartbeat, which means your blood's being pumped around faster, which means the venom's getting moved around faster, could get to your heart, could kill you. So you want to keep as calm as possible. They say take deep breaths, blow out slowly.
You're not going to die yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah. That's actually pretty good. You're not going to die yet. So stay calm, sit down, and keep your extremity, which is most likely where you got bit, below heart level.
So there's no like on-site way of potentially extracting.
You're not going to
venom?
extract it. Absolutely not. And here's why you don't want to. So next thing is to try and obviously call 911. Under no circumstances should you run. If you run, you could kill yourself. So you got to send someone else to go get an ambulance, go get help, get the phone call out, whatever you got to do. But you shouldn't be walking, and you damn sure shouldn't be running.
Yeah.
Running.
Another reason
sounds
why
like
you
this-
don't go into the woods alone.
It sounds like it's the same advice you get when you give blood. Don't do this, and that, because you'll just pass out. So if you get bit by a snake, just do whatever it is after you give blood.
Yeah.
Just be as lazy as possible.
So call 911. Now,
And eat those cookies.
if you're looking at, you can eat cookies, but if you're looking to take the edge off, do not do it with alcohol. That too will thin out
Thin
your blood, and it will speed it around.
Streamline it.
Same thing with caffeine. So you can't.
Dead.
Don't drink a wilderness athlete, pre-workout right after you get bit by a venomous snake. You want to do not drink caffeine. Do not drink alcohol. So one of the things that happens when you get bit by the snake too is there's always a massive amount of swelling. So if you have any, let's say you got your hand, get any rings off, bracelets, anything like that, because you don't want them to have to cut them off once the hand.
Which they will.
Yeah, once it swells up and everything like that. So remove jewelry. Now here's something that's interesting. I read from the CDC, they say wash it out with soap and water. But then I upon further research, I found some people that said don't do that. And I'm leaning towards don't. Here's why. They said wrap the wound in any kind of gauze or fabric or whatever and hold it tight to it. Do not make a tourniquet. Don't do that. That doesn't work. Just hold pressure on it because it'll help keep the venom from spreading outward in your body. By keeping the pressure on it in the cloth, keep the cloth too. Because then when you go to the hospital, God
they
forbid,
can do a toxicology.
exactly, they can tell you
Clever.
what venom it is so that they can help you with that. Now, the next step is to, once you get to the hospital, if you're still alive, is to and basically at the end of the day, any way you cut it, about only 20% of the snakes in the United States are venomous. So most of them you'll survive the bite as well. They're not deadly, but you could die, especially if it gets to your heart or you have a reaction of some sort. God knows Jeffrey's probably allergic, probably swallowed like you got stung by a wasp.
Rattlesnakes venom? Venomous?
Yeah. Yep. Yep,
Oh, yeah.
I
rattlesnakes.
couldn't remember.
Water moccasins are.
The smaller the snake, the more dangerous too, because they can't control the amount of venom they're pushing into you as well as a large one.
Like scorpions.
Yeah, there's something called the dry bite. So a snake could bite you and not release venom. It's more like a get away from me.
Mm-hmm.
But you're supposed to go in anyhow. But
Yep.
if the feeling that you'll have if you get bit by a venomous snake is within 15 to 30 minutes, there'll be a really strong burning sensation around the wound, and it'll start to swell.
Okay.
So that tells you like you probably got venom. You may have gotten a dry bite, but that's just a wishful thinking, like a Conor McGregor knocking him out in the second round.
There
Kind
you
of.
go.
Yeah. Isn't it fascinating? An animal just makes
Yeah.
a little bit of liquid that
blood
lays you
cocktail.
out 6 feet under.
Yeah.
Say goodbye.
Now I've actually heard you mentioned the smaller snake being more dangerous because they're not as able to manage it. That is true, and I have heard that. However, they also don't make as much. So
That's true. Yeah.
So it's like true but not true.
So
like,
it's like it almost as if it equals itself out.
mm-hmm. Yeah, in a way. So the bigger one can control it, but he also packs a much bigger punch if he wants to.
Yeah.
So that's that. Now, all of the snakes in North America that are venomous have a triangular shaped head, with exception to the coral snake, which is more rounded.
Mm-hmm.
So they have rounded head and eyes. So if you see a triangular head and slits for eyes, you can pretty much run. Dun 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 dun. Dun. That's likely to be a venomous snake then.
Okay. And then there's the Michigan hognose that sits up like a king cobra and flattens its head out. That thing looks so scary.
Yeah.
But it's harmless.
Oh, really?
Harmless. Yeah. It could bite you, but it's not going to do anything. No venom.
Michigan.
I'd get
hognose?
checked just because of how scary it looks. Yeah, the hognose snake is pretty cool. We're probably showing you a picture of it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're a really, really cool snake. Honestly, they're one of my favorites just because they're so intimidating looking.
Yeah.
First time I saw it and he's fanned out, I'm like, what is this, a cobra?
Yeah. In Michigan.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. So another thing I wanted to touch on, we touched on this probably about 50 podcasts ago, but how they actually make antivenom. So
Oh, yeah.
what happens is when you go to the hospital, if they can identify what snake it is, they inject you with antivenom. And that to you just sounds like medicine and it goes away and that's that. But it's actually more complicated than that. So the way that they actually make antivenom would make a vegan cry. So what they'll do is they'll inject a horse with the venom of snakes. The specific one, let's say they're making an antivenom for this rattlesnake. They'll inject it into a horse, and the horse are really great about making antibodies to fight that off.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously they're suffering, right? And then we take the antibodies out of the antivenom out of their blood and make the antivenom. So horse gets injected, fights it off, builds the antibodies to fight the venom. They make antivenom. We take their blood back out, and then we spin out all the stuff that we need, and then that's how we make antivenom, by torturing
Is it called
horses.
antivenom?
Or what's it called?
I think it's called that.
I think
Yeah.
it's called antibodies.
No,
Because that's a foreign.
it might be called antibodies in the bloodstream, but I think they call it. What do they call it when you get bit? Antivenom, right?
I think it's antivenom.
I'm guessing it's antibodies, and
I don't have
then they turn it into antivenom.
That's what I'm saying. In the body. Yeah. Well, if I look it up, it's the guy from the
Coyote? Is it Coyote?
Tom Hardy, who plays Venom.
yeah.
It's Tom Hardy.
So
That's funny.
snake antivenom are the specific treatment for envenoming by snake bites. So antivenoms
Cool word.
can prevent or reverse most snake bite effects. So basically, yeah, you're pulling the antibodies out of the blood and then spinning it into antivenom, whatever they do with that. But
Okay.
those antibodies make up the antivenom.
So essentially, it's like a snake vaccine.
Yeah.
Well, the vaccine would be before you got bit.
Yeah, and then you don't get mind control. You're not full of like a tracker at the government.
So that's kind of cool. It's a little messed up that they do that to the horses, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
they don't tell you that.
yeah, who cares though? If you got bit by a snake, you're like,
You'd be doing anything.
you're like, it's it wasn't a human at least. Put it in me.
Yeah.
You know?
Occasionally, you'll
Filter
hear
it out.
You'll hear these stories about like some tour guide in South America who gets bit by a viper. I forget who was telling me the story, but I think it was potentially a story my dad had heard while he was in South America when he was in the military, where a guy got bit by a viper. He was like cutting brush, got bit, and without any hesitation, he just put his arm up on the tree and bam, right off. because he just knew that he'd be dead. There was no way he was, and then he just tourniqueted it and then got out.
Oh my
He just
god.
he knew that there was no chance of surviving if he just didn't get rid
to
of
that
it immediately.
specific snake, probably.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Imagine.
Do you think you'd have the cojones to do that, AJ?
I mean, if I'm well aware that I'm dead in 10 minutes, I mean, hopefully I have a hard enough cleaver shot and the arm comes off. But dang,
That's like The Walking Dead when you watch the show and they get bit by the zombie and they're like, hurry up and cut off whatever.
Imagine how hard you have to hit to get through a bone.
what if he misidentified the snake and it wasn't even venom?
He just got his arm up for no reason. Someone walks. What are you doing?
Oh my goodness.
It's a gardener snake.
He's like,
You're the tour guide?
oh, you're what a prank that'd be though. Like
Get
if,
someone to cut their arm
no,
off.
no. I mean like if you convinced a group of people that you got like say you're the tour guide.
Oh, it's part of the. It's
and
a
you're
bit.
putting up a whole bit where you're like
I like
oh
that.
my god, and you're like losing it. Everyone's like, you gotta cut off his arm, you gotta cut off his arm, and they're like holding them down, and they're like, oh, the kids are crazy. Maybe not.
That'd be a good way to get sued.
I'm not in hospitality, so. Wow, we went to. Why do we always have to take it to the darkest place?
Because it's funny.
Because it's funny.
It is. It's because it's funny.
Makes me happy.